All right, I get asked a good bit, what are your favorite books? People see me reading. What did you like? What did you not like? A lot of people want to know, hey, I want to start reading. So here are my 15 favorite books of 2023. It's 5 fictions and 10 nonfictions. I definitely read more nonfiction. Fiction, but all that said, let's jump right in. Do the fiction first. Here we go. John Steinbeck and Of Mice and Men. I have never read any of his books, but Grapes of Wrath is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I want to start reading more classic literature. So Mice and Men was amazing. I think it's important to read these books. This is 1937, and it's fiction, but it is American history, and it tells the story of what it's like, what the people were like, what the struggles were, what classism was like, things like that. So really wonderful book. I really enjoyed it. Next up is from a Spanish author, Samantha Schweblin, I believe. Fever Dream. This is a crazy book. It is the reading experience of an actual fever dream. So when you think about, it feels crazy, it feels chaotic, it feels panicky the whole way through, and it's a very quick and easy read, just like Mice and Men. Next up is a very unknown book as far as I can tell. It is called When the English Fall by David Williams. This book, I loved it. My wife bought me this because I'm a fan of post-apocalyptic things. Possibly my favorite fiction book ever is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. This is a post-apocalyptic story of how the Amish see people like us, the English in this book, deal with post-apocalyptic issues. It's fascinating. So there's something going on in the world. Everything's breaking down, and the Amish, who don't live on the grid and also have a deep faith, how they see the world responding to chaos. It's a wonderful book. Next up, Colson Whitehead. I tried to read this book for like 2 years. I finally got around to it. This is the last book I read this year. It is really good. The Underground Railroad. It is a historical fiction that takes some liberties that I really loved. And if I told you the main liberty that he took in the history fact section, it would ruin the book. It's a wonderful book. Again, I really love reading from the perspective of people not like me. And he's such a talented writer. You're experiencing the life of a slave who's running away and everything that they're dealing with. It's a wonderful, beautiful book about America, about our history, and also just about some of the challenges within our culture and our country, and I loved it. And my favorite fiction that I read this year is Stand By Me by Wendell Berry. This is a collection of 18 short stories that are gathered from a massive collection of novels he's written over the years about a town called Port Williams in Kentucky that he made up, but that town is based on where he actually lives in Kentucky. This is the best book I think I've ever read to date. I liked it that much. I laughed, I got teary-eyed, it's just so nostalgic, so beautiful, so full of life. It's a masterpiece. And what I like about it, I bought the other novels to read them in full, but this was like the concise get used to this story. And amazing book. All right, let's hit these 10 nonfictions. The History of Rock and Roll. I think this is a very important book as well, 1920 to 65. If you love music, I would say this is a necessity to read. It's so well written. Ed Ward is an amazing person, and I think if you like music, you should know where it came from. And this does the best job of any book I've read so far, and I read a lot of music history books. This is a journal on where our popular music that we love today actually came from. So if you like music, check it out. This is a businessy book. I loved it. Gary V, 12 and a half, leveraging emotional ingredients necessary for business success. I would say any young person getting started, college age, should read a book like this. This is basically 12 and a half soft skills, meaning, you can learn how to do math. That's a hard skill. But a soft skill is like, do you have empathy? Do you have initiative? This is a book that is so important as a business owner, and someone who runs a leadership team, and honestly, as a creative person. It's amazing. Gratitude, optimism, empathy, kindness, patience. Excellent read. Next up, Randall Munroe, a theoretical physicist, wrote this book that he also illustrated. It was a fun read to get the kids involved on it a little bit. It's basically all these crazy scenarios, like suppose you drain the oceans and dump the water on top of the Curiosity rover. How would Mars change as the water accumulated? Like crazy stuff. Like if all of the oxygen was removed from Earth, how long would we live? Stuff like that. And it has all these little cartoon drawings. I loved this book. What would happen if you tried to fly a normal Earth airplane above a different solar system? And he breaks it down in physics. Loved it. There's a second edition I'm going to read this year. The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. If you're a creative or a musician, you know the very famous producer Rick Rubin. This is like a book of Zen for creatives. It's just like his thoughts, little perspectives. It's a nightstand book. You can pick it up and read a little bit at a time. Fantastic. As someone who's now in their early 40s, this book was awesome. It was recommended by a mentor. This is Arthur Brooks, From Strength to Strength. So basically, it's a book about how to live the second part of your life. If you've turned 40, you're in the second part of your life. And there's these swings, and it's like there's stuff going on, and it's really cool. He lays out, you're in the best part of your life, and you have another life to live. And really, really great, especially from the perspective of leadership and business and creativity. This is a book about writing books, but it's really a book about creativity. If you're a creative, I recommend this. Bird by Bird, Anne Lamont. Some instructions on writing in life. It's really a memoir of her writing. Can't recommend it enough. Any creative should read that book. Another Wendell Berry, he made 2 on the list. The World Ending Fire, The Essential Wendell Berry. This is a collection of essays he has written since the 60s. It's on America, farming, agriculture, economics, politics. I love this man. I love Wendell Berry. This was the year of Wendell Berry for me. I recommend anyone who likes to learn and think, and anyone who cares about society and the earth, but in a balanced approach, right? This is cool. All right. This is a really great book. It was really quick read. Seth Godin, amazing guy. The Song of Significance. This had a pretty life-impacting chapter for me on empathy. And if you're a creative or a business person, or you work with teams of people, this is such a good book. All right, we're getting to the bottom. Adam Grant Originals. I love Adam Grant. All the stuff he's done is phenomenal. This is just a book about how nonconformists change the world and make things. People who don't conform to the rules as creatives, as leaders. I loved it. I'm going to go back through that book pretty soon. And then this might have been my favorite book of the year versus the Wendell Berry Stand By Me. Remember I said might be my favorite book of the year. It's one of these two. So this is Stand By Me, the novel, maybe. Or this. This was a gift from a good friend of mine from the South, like I'm from the South. I'm from North Alabama. My parents were raised really poor. My dad worked fields, picked cotton, things like that. So this is a memoir by Rick Bragg, who grew up very similarly to my dad and he tells his story of coming from poverty and living like that all the way to being a best-selling author and working at the New York Times. This book was beautiful, really heartfelt, and brought back so many amazing memories and moments from my life. So I recommend this if you like heartwarming, real-life stories about family and getting somewhere out of nowhere. It's a really beautiful book. Here's a bonus book, number 16. I love this. This is Andy Squires, Poet Priest Volume 2. Can we focus in there? Poet Priest Volume 2 by Andy Squires. Andy's a good friend, an amazing songwriter, musician. But basically, this is a book about Christian faith in the modern world. But it's like photo essays and kind of like the street photography of theology. I don't know how to explain it. It's such a wonderful book of essays concerning faith with beautiful photography and just his thoughts on how Western culture isn't always biblical, but trying to live biblically in it and trying to follow Jesus. Really wonderful book. That's my books of 2023. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know your favorite books of this year that you read. They didn't have to come out this year, obviously, but whatever you read this year, put them in the comments. I'd like to check them out. And hit like, subscribe, or don't. It's fine. I just do this for fun for all the people that ask on social media. So, bye.